All right, welcome everyone. So my name is Wouter van Kootwijk. I'm a sustainability consultant from EcoMatters, and I've been invited here today to talk with you about this project that we're developing, product environmental footprint category rules for ventilation units and fans. So I'm very excited to share about that. So this is what I will cover. I will first introduce a little bit about our company, then move on to some background about life cycle assessment methodology, and then specifically indeed the product environmental footprint method being proposed by the European Commission based on life cycle assessment. Then how category rules specific for a product group can be developed based on this PEF method, and also specifically that we're doing that for EVIA for ventilation units and fans. Then I will highlight what the representative products look like, which characteristics they have, and then also how you can, from existing products, scale towards a virtual representative product that is basically a benchmark for the product group. Then I will show system boundaries of what we include in the study and in the PEFCR. And then I will show some preliminary results and draw some main conclusions. All right, a little bit about us. We are a sustainability consultancy company from the Netherlands. We have about 15 years of experience in mainly 3 different areas. So sustainability reporting, such as CSRD, but also very much experience in product footprint, so life cycle assessment, and also the PEF, and then sustainability regulation as well. And we do this for a lot of different industries, smaller companies, bigger companies, and also industry associations such as EVIA. So enough about us. Let's move on to why I'm really here. Life cycle assessment is the method to calculate the environmental performance of products over its entire life cycle. So it's really in the name that you include the full value chain. So you take into consideration these consecutive stages of the product system. So that's starting at the raw material acquisition, then the manufacturing stage, moving on to the distribution to the customer, and there it is used in its operation, and then in the end it's discarded at end of life and treated as waste. So for that full life cycle and for all of these stages, we're looking at impacts, and we're quantifying those in multiple different impact categories. So you can see on the right, it's not only climate change, it's also land use, eutrophication, water use, etc. So about PEF. So the product environmental footprint method, PEF, is a methodology proposed by the Commission based on LCA. And the main goal of this PEF method is harmonization of LCA calculations across, well, products, industries, but also geographies in Europe. Exactly like Alex also said, to create a level playing field and comparability. So it has been designed by the Joint Research Center, and it also facilitates that you can express the environmental impact into a single score of impact. And that works really well because it facilitates environmental labeling with performance classes. So yeah, the bottom part, I think it has been covered quite well in the previous presentation, so I won't go into too much detail about that now. But this, I think, more interesting to show. So in PEF, you have these multiple impact categories. So of course, there's climate change, where you express the global warming potential in CO2 equivalents. But you also have a lot of impact categories around toxicity, pollution, other effects on nature, and the use of resources. So these are all automatically included in PEF studies to express environmental impact in a holistic way. So yeah, very simplified in a nutshell explanation of how PEF works. So as I said, we have this full value chain with all the life cycle stages. And for all of these stages, we're going to look at what are the activities, what are the processes there, which emissions are taking place, which resources are being used. And with LCA software, we're going to group those emissions into the right impact category, let's say. So we're going to characterize the impact into categories, and then we're going to apply a weighting step. So we have impact in different categories, and we're going to apply a weighting factor, and that allows us to sum up the different impacts from different categories into one single score. And this single score can then be used for benchmarking, for environmental labeling with performance classes. So we have the PEF method, which is underpinned in the EU policy, but this method is quite extensive and long, and it would be very time consuming and costly if all the manufacturers would have to use this method. So the idea has been already from the start of the PEF development that category rules would be created based on this PEF method. So this is basically, this PEFCR is basically a rule book document that already covers a lot of the main methodological choices, such as which functional unit to use, which stages to include, which data sets can be used, maybe some default values for certain parameters. And that really streamlines the way in which PEF studies can be done for this demarked product category. All right, so EVIA also recognized this, the importance of this PEFCR development, and has asked us to support them with that. And the goal of this PEFCR development is really to promote a unified and streamlined quantitative sustainability assessment by the industry, and also to prepare the industry for the potential future regulations and policy developments. As Alexander also touched upon, within the scope of this project, we're looking at 4 different subgroups. So the bidirectional residential ventilation units, the unidirectional residential ventilation units, the non-residential, and then the fans over 125 watts. So in this project, some methodological aspects are that we're also, of course, then including the full life cycle, and it's developed in alignment with the PEF method. But for official PEFCRs, let's say there's this process led by the EC, this transition phase, and this project is not part of that. So because it's not in that process, you cannot also reach 100% PEF compliance. But this might be something for the future. So this is, let's say, a key concept in life cycle assessment, the functional unit. Because it's important to realize that products are made to deliver a certain function to the society. We don't just create them for fun, at least not these kind of products. So in LCA, this function is defined as the functional unit, and this functional unit is needed to compare the environmental impact of varying products on a fair basis. So in PEF, we are required to define this functional unit on 4 aspects. So what is the function, how much of the function is delivered, how well, how long, and together this forms the functional unit. So together with EVIA, we've defined this for fans and also for the ventilation units. For fans, it's then 1 watt of air power, and for the ventilation units is 1 cubic meter of air, cubic meter per hour of air replacement over the reference building lifetime of 50 years, where the ventilation unit is installed. So for each of the subgroups, we've defined what the representative product looks like. So we've looked into which type of product is representative, what does a typical product look like, which function does it provide, but also which other characteristics should we include for this representative product. And then I think most importantly, there's the reference output, because this reference output is also used in the scaling. So in the representative product study, we have a virtual product that we study, and this is actually based on a mix of 3 existing products that are scaled to this reference output. So on the left side, you can see these 3 products. We have product A, product B, product C. Some might be a little bit bigger, others might be a little bit smaller. And with this scaling factor, we upsize or downsize this whole system to translate it to having the right reference output of the RP. And then we can take an average to get this blend, this mix of the representative product. And then for each of these representative product studies, we're doing the LCA analysis. So this is then all included in the system boundaries. You can see that there's 5 main life cycle stages. So the raw material acquisition and pre-processing, then the manufacturing, distribution, use, and end of life. And each of these main stages we've divided into sub-stages, which makes sense for these kind of products. And for all of these stages, data has to be collected, and the results has to be expressed. So moving on to some results, this is preliminary. So within PEF, in the interpretation rules, it is mandatory to show which are the most relevant impact categories. So in the diagram, you can see in the bottom in the columns the 4 product groups, and then you can see that we have, let's say, this single score, and having this single score also allows us to see what the contribution is from the individual impact categories to this single score. So you can see that for all of the product subgroups, resource use fossils is quite contributing quite a lot, and then also climate change and resource use minerals and metals. But also the other impact categories are quite significant still. And then as a second step in the interpretation, under PEF, you are going to determine for each of these most relevant impact categories, shown in the bottom, how much of the contribution is coming from the different life cycle stages. So from raw materials, from use, from distribution, etc. So the most relevant life cycle stages make up at least 80% of the environmental impact in this category. And we can see on the left side that if we look at the full life cycle stage, then the use stage is fully dominating the impact. Most of the impact is coming from this stage. And this is specifically the electricity consumption of the product during operation. Then in PEF, there's also this rule that if the use stage contributes more than 50%, then you also have to show the contributions of the stages when we exclude the use phase, so that we get a clear picture of which of the other stages contribute to impact when we disregard use phase. So when we do that, we can see that for all of the impact categories, the raw materials are causing most of the impact. All right, some main conclusions. So climate change and fossil resource use are very important impact categories, but the other impact categories should not be overlooked, because then you're only looking at part of the impact that products cause. And within PEF, this is really inherent to the methodology that you're including all these different impact categories, and you get a holistic picture of the environmental impact. Then the use stage and the electricity consumption is the main contributor to the impact in the full life cycle, which emphasizes that we need accurate data, accurate scenarios, parameter values, and also assumptions. And when we exclude the use phase, then raw materials are the main source of impact, and this links really well to the eco-design aspects such as recyclability, recycled content, etc. And a more general note is that the PEFCR harmonizes LCA studies for products in the same product category, and that the representative product results may serve as a benchmark to compare against. All right, so this was it from me. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks a lot to Wouter, thanks a lot to Geoff and Alex. We have still some time for questions. I would say if you have questions, please raise your hands and maybe we can try to answer that or give you further guidance on that. Don't be shy. I think a tough work on regulation what we have in front, and tough work to be done from our side. But anyhow, don't be shocked and please answer. Please question. No? No question? Then thank you very much. Everything seemed to be clear on that topic. So hopefully we can contribute, I would say, for the next steps. Thank you very much and see you next time on Chilventa.